Welcome to Her Ink Empire. I'm Justine Almaraz, and this is the podcast that redefines what's possible for you in the tattoo industry and in your tattoo education, not only in technical skills, but in business. This show is for fine artists, creatives, visionaries, artists of all kinds, even doodlers, who are ready to not just build a career, but a legacy. Here we merge mastery, freedom, and creative power to surpass the outdated industry norms, the outdated rules, and step fully into our creative power and roles as leaders in our communities. If you've ever felt like there has to be a better way, a better option to learn tattooing, to earn in this industry, and to lead in tattooing, you're in the right place. So let's build your empire, one bold, daring step at a time. Let's dive in.
Jennifer.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the Her Ink Empire podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Let's dive in to where you are today. What are you excited about today?
Yeah, so I am excited for a lot of really cool things coming up for me. So I am an integrative healing guide, and I specialize in somatic modalities. And we'll jump more into that. But right now, I'm currently in Colorado, and I am going to be training to do some more somatic modalities to just kind of expand my offering. So I'm super excited for that. And of course, working with you to roll out a lot of somatic modalities for your art students and just people who want to learn more. So yeah, just kind of getting the ball rolling on everything and taking more educational courses and getting that all started up since we last saw each other.
Yeah. We've been doing some cool collaborative things. So just so you know, Jennifer's somatic work is powerful. And I'd love to know if you could give us a little insight of where did you get into doing somatic healing work? How did this all start for you?
Yeah, of course. So before getting into the where, sometimes I get a lot of people asking what even is somatic work? What does that even entail? And I kind of bring up this analogy of I don't know if you remember the store Bed Bath and Beyond, if there's still any around. But for those who don't know, Bed Bath and Beyond, it's a huge department store, and you have stuff in your Bed Bath and Beyond, and everyone's always like, "Well, what is the Beyond section?" And you're like, you just have to go and experience it to know what's there. So you'll go into the store and kind of look around and be like, okay, I see the bedding stuff, the bath. Okay, what's beyond? And then you see these kind of things that you need for your house. And you're like, oh yeah, I do need these pots and pans for my house and these different little trinkets. So I say somatic modalities is the beyond section of our body, and the bed and bath, the bath is our mental health. And the bed is our physical body. So we already know that we need to take care of our physical body, and we already know that we need to take care of our mental health. But there's a third aspect that I think a lot of us are missing, and it's that somatic work, and that's what I teach. And how I got into somatic work is I have come through a lot of turmoil in my life. I've had to really learn a lot of different coping skills. And as I started going to talk therapy, I noticed that while it was helpful, it didn't necessarily. Is my dog making crazy sounds? Can you hear her?
Well, it's like a little gremlin.
Let me.
He's the cutest little pug.
I know she is. Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
No, she's fine. Okay. Should we start over?
No, don't even worry. Just keep going.
So anyway. So the somatic modalities are going to be the beyond section of our home or store. So that's going to include stuff like breathwork, yoga, sound healing, and there's other different modalities in this as well. But this focuses on the energy in our body and how we can move with that energy, how we can process emotions and just work with ourselves rather than against ourselves. Because I think a lot of the times we'll feel these energies or emotions come up, and we're like, no, I need to get this out of here. I don't have time for this right now. But what if we taught ourselves coping mechanisms to help us feel, even if it's just a little bit at a time? Because then over time, it'll get easier. So I teach these different energetic modality work to help people access whatever it needs to be that they're looking for. So whether they need to bring peace into their life, whether they need to work through trauma, whether they need to get more creative. There's different ways that we can work with the energy that's already within us to get the results that we want. And I came into this because when I was doing talk therapy, like I mentioned before, while I did find it helpful, I just never felt like anything happened. I felt like I was intellectualizing my therapy sessions and just kind of being like, okay, like have a good day. Like I know these things happen to me, but all right, like I didn't ever have the opportunity to feel what was happening. And something that's very unique in my perspective is I learned through going through yoga teacher training that I actually don't visualize at all. So I don't have a mind's eye. I can't visualize faces or, remember scenes. And so what was interesting is when I tried to do certain coping mechanisms like traditional meditation, I was so antsy and I couldn't relax at all. So I was trying to figure out different things to do to be able to work with myself, to be able to process trauma in a different way that wasn't talk therapy. And I found really great release through sound healing. It really spoke to me. And I was able to then understand through doing sound healing that I couldn't visualize. And doing sound healing, what was really interesting about that for me is it allowed me to have a space to be able to feel those emotions without having someone be like, oh yeah, tell me about this time, or, have like some sort of a flashback because I don't have stuff like that. What sound healing was able to do for me was able to access emotions that were stored subconsciously that can be accessed through talk therapy, that can be accessed through different modalities, but I couldn't because I couldn't visualize. Or at least I think that's part of the reason that it wasn't super helpful for me. So that was pretty fascinating. So going through yoga teacher training definitely opened my eyes to the fact that I don't visualize. And that inspired me to really dive into these somatic modalities to be able to teach them. Because growing up, I definitely did not have someone to teach me emotional regulation. I definitely kind of handled things on my own and also just survived a traumatic childhood with a mother who faced a very serious addiction problem. And we also lived in very intense poverty. And so there was just not really any resource for me to learn about these things. I also think that, as we learn more about mental health, this is going to be more talked about. So it's exciting to be able to kind of be, I wouldn't say a pioneer of this work because there's definitely a lot of people who have done way more than I have and ever will in my life. But I'm very honored and excited to be able to share what I know with people. So I get to coach and just really show up for people and help them process these emotions and trauma that sometimes we don't even know is in us. And it comes out at random times. And we're like, where did that come from? So yeah, that's what I do and what I love and my passion. Absolutely.
Yes. Something that is really unique about the way you do the sound healing is you actually use your voice.
Yeah.
And that feels, I had the honor to experience one of your sound baths. And I think that that really was a unique aspect to it. Like,
Mm.
when have we ever been sung to? Like, maybe by our mom for a second when we were babies. Like,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
there's something really, really powerful about that. And that you have a beautiful voice and
Ah,
that
thank you.
it melts into the other instruments that you use too. And I think that sound healing is one of my favorite modalities for, I would say, like healing, but also for activating creative ideas. And I use sound personally to get into a meditative state so that I can
Mm.
see. And that's kind of the cool thing is like what you offer. What we've noticed is that we're so different, you and I, in how I can see, I can feel, and I can see. And with my eyes closed. You know what I mean? Very clearly. And you have a very different experience when you are
Yeah.
feeling. And we are using and amplifying those differences to communicate the same things and help the intuitive artists that I teach to help them activate more of their sense of self, sense of confidence, self worth, and we're doing that in this series of your somatic healing. Just so you all know how that's kind of like coming together. And yeah, I just would love to go like a little more into tell us about that what that feels like. How do you perceive and experience the unseen world? Because
Yeah.
you are playing in that realm a lot, and how are you experiencing it? Because for me it's so visual. So what does that feel like
Yeah.
for you?
It's so cool to hear you talk about it because it's funny. I can say I can't imagine that. I literally, physically can't even imagine that. But no, I think it's so powerful. And what's so beautiful about this partnership that we have is getting to learn more about humanity by talking to you about how you experience different things and how I experience different things. So I'm excited about this. But going back to your question, yeah, I think it's very unique because it's kind of something that I didn't know that I didn't have access to, if that makes sense. So I'm sure until you found out that people couldn't visualize, you've just kind of been going through what you believe is normal. And I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
yeah,
That's why I was like, hey, Jennifer, I think we need your help here because not everyone is experiencing the unseen visual world that I am,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what I try to help artists to activate. But before they can even get there, some can't,
Yes,
and so there we go. Okay,
I
continue,
yeah,
continue.
and so I know exactly what that feels like.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of experiences in my life where so I love to paint. I'm an artist as well. Painting, especially acrylic painting, is very important to me in my creative process. And so something that's always been interesting is people would ask me, "How did you have this idea?" And I would go, "I just did it. What do you mean?"
Mm.
I would be like, I just painted. I don't understand what you mean. And people would be like, okay, that's wild, but whatever. And so what's really unique is, I guess for me, what my experience is I have to be so fully in the present. There's nowhere for me to be. And so when I feel things, I have to get it out. Like I cannot let it sit because I don't have anywhere for my brain to go of where is this coming from? Why is it here? I have to just be able to move that energy, which is so fascinating for what I do and teach now because that's my whole thing. So what's really beautiful and what I get to do is express to people that while it is a gift that you're able to see and visualize the creations that you create. It's also a gift that I have to not be able to see it and to be able to feel so deeply. And it's also the point to say, if you're an artist, what makes an artist? What does that mean? You can see fully, you can do something properly, it's not about that. It's about the feeling of the creation and the energy that you and I both collectively have, as well as any artist who creates. It's an inherent right within us. So no matter if you hyper visualize or no matter if you don't visualize at all, creation is a part of you, just inherently. And so that's really a blessing for me to be able to teach and to show my perspective of, hey, I don't have a mind's eye. I still paint. How does that happen? It's because of the energy. And it's because I'm working through those little voices in my head that say, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this looks silly, blah, 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 blah. So somatic work is working with your mind and body to be able to just let go of that resistance. It's all about working with what's coming up, not about how to distract and push away. And unfortunately, I feel like our society is very much a distract and push away society, and I definitely understand that. But unfortunately, if you get into this pattern of distract and push away, you are the opposite of creating because you are controlling so hard. You're holding on so hard to an expectation, to a result, to being perfect, but that's not what creativity is about. It's about being deeply human, feeling the process of creating. It's a deeply human process. And when we add in such logistics and perfectionism and I have to do it and this way, we take away that energy completely. We stomp on it. And I'm sure that a lot of us who are creative have had this experience where we've created something, and maybe it was when we were a kid, but creating something and it's wild or crazy or not like, what is deemed like classically good, and we show someone and they're like, oh, what is this? It's like, oh yeah, this is my, spaghetti monster. Like, and we just kind of get, put down, or someone doesn't understand our perspective or art style, and it becomes this whole, trying to defend and be intense when really you're just allowing what you are feeling to come up through whatever you're creating. So if that's on canvas, if that's tattooing, if that's music, then you just allow it. And what's cool about somatic work is you're bringing awareness into the energy that you feel rather than having you be like tsunami tidal wave by emotions and then you don't know what to do. So we're bringing this slowly of, hey, let's bring, your present self into this present moment to be able to check in with yourself. I think a lot of us, especially creatives, get caught in this. I have to be in the right mindset, or I have to be in the right mindset and I have to know exactly what I'm going to do. And it's like, yeah, you can do that. But I think you and I both know, as people who create things, a lot of the times, even that process can get derailed completely, and you end up with something completely different. So it just kind of goes to show that the energy of creation is one that is something that we have access to all the time, but we have to be aware of where, like, we have to meet that energy where it's at to be able to harness it. And I think that's where people get worried, is they might feel feelings of fear, or anxiety or stress when they sit down to create and they go, I can't do this. But sometimes that's the best place for you to be, is to sit down and create in that mindset. It might not be the beautiful thing that you have in your mind. It could be something completely different, but you're allowing yourself to access that energy and be aware of it so that when you do want to make something that is in your mind's eye or an idea that you have, you can get to it easier, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's say the person who's listening to this right now is feeling so locked in on perfectionism that it's with their creativity, and that they're staring at the blank page and they're like, they're feeling, I want to be an artist so bad. Like, either they've invested in learning or they're considering going down this path, but something is holding them back, and they don't know how to move forward. What would you say to help them break free? Because if they have, I believe they have the desire to get to the other end of that
Yeah,
and to be the artist they came to be. So what do they do in the moment?
I would first ask them, what does it what does it even mean to be an artist? And also, what would that look like for you, that point when you make it, when you finally get deemed to be an artist? And I would say, would you tell Justine, would you tell me, you have to wait, you're not an artist yet? No. And I think what happens is we are waiting to get a huge check from someone that has bought our art to go, okay, I am now an artist. I think we are waiting until we, master a certain technique to say, okay, I'm an artist. But what is really unique and what I'm trying to bring forward is everything that we have is inside of us already. And to be told now I'm here because I'm an artist, I've gotten to the point where I can say I'm an artist, is counterintuitive of what an artist is, because becoming an artist is something that you accept. That is something that you have to say, yes, I am an artist. And then you create from that place of intention and energy, regardless of if you get the check, regardless of if someone says this is art, regardless of that external validation. The perfectionism comes from the need to feel validation from an external source. It's not coming from in here because this is already ready to go. That anxiety and perfectionism is solely because we want someone to say you're doing good.
We want the outside validation on that.
Yeah, yeah. Which of course we do. It feels really good when someone connects with your work, but that's not what this is about. This is about being authentic and true to yourself and your medium. Because when you are authentic and true to yourself and your medium, beautiful things happen. And I know that you've seen that. I know that you know that with people that you've worked with who've said, once I finally just kind of accepted my style or really, dove into my personal work and just kind of express this differently, oftentimes we find that we create something that's bigger than ourselves. For example, I never thought that I would be able to do the work that I'm doing. When I grew up, I was very much told, you're going to be a wife and mom. Education's not very important for you. Like, your needs are not first ever, ever, ever. Like, very clearly, that was for me to just go, okay, everything else depends on someone else's life for me. And I kind of put myself in the space of, okay, my mom is not doing well. Let me, try to go to medical school because I want to become a doctor to help my mom and to save her. So that's what I started to do is I got into the medical field and I really worked hard. I was pre-med, and then unfortunately my mom passed away. And it kind of shifted something for me where I was like, oh man, like people have to decide to change. And so therefore I need to just completely focus on what I'm doing. And, the rest will fall into place. So I kind of had that realization of like, okay, so I need to just kind of like life is way too short. Like I need to figure out what I'm going to do at this point. And then a couple years later, my dad passed away. And for me, that's when this realization was even bigger of like, life is so short, so fragile that I cannot waste my time doing stuff that doesn't feel authentic to me. So, fast forward a little bit later is actually where I met you.
Jennifer, how old were you when they passed?
So my mom passed away in 2018. I believe I was 26 then, and then my dad a couple years later. So both my parents passed away in my late 20s, and I'm 32 now. So it's been within the last few years. It's been pretty intense. And something that was really important to me was I looked at my parents and saw what amazing, intuitive, and creative people they were, but they weren't doing anything for that. Like they completely dropped anything creative in their life before they passed away. And I was thinking, what can I do to honor myself and them? And it was kind of like, I just need to be my most authentic version of myself. How am I going to do that? I'm not sure. And so that's when you met me. I came in to get this lovely arm piece that you did to activate this part of me to go, hey, I'm going to be unapologetic and authentic in everything that I do. So that's when I started doing yoga teacher training and really getting into sound healing at that time. And it just was a really beautiful way for me to open up and just kind of be like, okay, I can make a future, but I have to be the one that accepts and decides that I am an artist. I could, when you and I met each other, there was just no thought in my mind that I could do the things that I'm doing today. And so that's why I say I think it's very important that, yes, technically we can do a bunch of things and make it look gorgeous and amazing and perfect. But I think the most important thing is accepting of ourselves as artists, and that's okay. We don't need an external source to tell us like this is perfect, you did great. And it feels great. I won't lie, we love a validation moment, but once you're able to just kind of understand it's about the creation, not the product. I think that's super important because we can get really caught up in the end result. But really it's just it's everything that's coming together. And I think that people who really dive into the creative process can understand the beauty behind how chaotic it can be sometimes. The creative process, it doesn't usually go so meticulously. There are times where something just crazy happens. So it's a lot of just acceptance of yourself and just realizing that you're inherently an artist because that's what we were born to do. And something that I bring up when I talk about somatic work that I think is really fascinating is if we look at someone like Ray Charles, you know, he's one of the most talented musicians ever. But of course, because he's blind, he can't read sheet music. But does that mean that he's not an artist? Does that mean that because he can't perfectly see the sheet music in front of him that he's not making music or is an artist or creative? That's crazy. So a lot of the times we push ourselves into these little spaces of saying like, okay, like I'll be an artist once I do X, Y, and Z, but it's like you're already there. And you would never tell me, I don't think you ever would because you're very kind, but you would never tell me, oh, Jen, you're not an artist because you don't visualize and you can't see. Like that would be so insane.
Yeah, that
And
would be
so
insane.
that would be wild. And I think it's just really just important for us to embody like this energy of creation. And so what I do with somatic modality and somatic work is we kind of work through these self-limiting beliefs that will come up because they cause us to feel anxious or shame or just like I don't want to do X, Y, Z. So I work with people to access these energies to be able to work with them and not against them. And when I say energies, I'm talking about, sometimes we'll have like self-limiting beliefs when we sit down to create, like, oh, I don't know how to do this, or this might look weird when I do this, or I'm not feeling great. And it's like, okay, what's the next best thing then? So my work is really cool because I just get to help people move past these blocks. But yeah, perfectionism is definitely one that I've struggled with too, and it does take some what I what mainstream is called like shadow work, but it does take some kind of introspection and self-reflection. But you're given tools to work through that during the process. So yeah, it's so beautiful.
Hmm. Do you feel that I wonder how you felt when you got tattooed. Like we just did a big back piece for you.
Yes, yes.
We, meaning I, tattooed your back. So with your knowledge and understanding of somatic work, healing work, and integrative therapies, do you sense a connection between the two? Because I know there's some connection, very real connection to tattooing and acupuncture. And I wonder about how that felt for you with your brain and knowledge around your
Yeah,
specialty on that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my back piece is super special and sacred to me. It's a memorial piece for my late husband, and it's a beautiful phoenix that's all on my back and going on the shoulders. And yeah, that piece for me energetically was super important to get. I wanted to really have a physical reminder for me of energy alchemization because to be honest, after I lost my husband, especially with the loss of my parents, it was just like so much. And I was just like, okay, this is not the end for me. And it's also not going to be the end for the people that I love who have passed away too early. And so I really wanted a symbol of power and alchemization of grief and death, of no, there still is rebirth, there still is energy. And because I can't visualize, it's such a beautiful piece for me to have to be able to kind of anchor me back into my intention as a creative, as someone who does energetic work. And definitely, my breath work did help me through those sessions. um, uh, but yeah, it's a beautiful piece that I have to really just kind of show my symbolism of every time that I've gone through something intense, I've always still come out. And I hope that when people see my tattoo as well, they can see that phoenix symbolism and perhaps be inspired. I know I get a lot of beautiful compliments from it, but yeah, it was definitely very sacred for me. And it's definitely, I know that in these big transitions that I have, especially, thinking about what I wanted to do to memorialize my late husband and also push this energy forward, I was like, of course I have to see Justine. It was like no question about it. But yeah, working with you, kind of trying to figure out, what colors are we going to have? Where is it going to be? And we landed on the back and upper back. But yeah, I absolutely feel that activation of power in a beautiful way. I think a lot of times the word power can be a little iffy, but power in this very beautiful working with the world and bringing, just light to people. So that's really what that tattoo for me symbolizes, and such a beautiful tattooing experience that you and I had together. It really felt super divine. So yeah, that tattoo for me in my somatic work, of course, was such a huge activation for me to feel just like revamped, re-energized to go out in the world and just really push for no, these things are important because I really wanted to succumb to the feelings of just being over it. Like after my husband passed away, it was just like, oh, but no, this is so important because with these kind of helpful tools, like we're able to live better and more fully. And so what's beautiful is I feel like the symbolism of the phoenix is, you know, rising from the ashes, activation. And I just feel like that is where I am. And I just am super grateful for the opportunity to have been tattooed by you because it has absolutely activated this new fire and energy in me. And as someone who, I would say that I wouldn't say that I'm like a extrasensory perception, but maybe a little bit without the visualization. That was just such a beautiful way for me to process pain in a very physical way, and also just see the beauty of the after result, even through the pain. And also remembering that, what we feel, like pain or fear or anxiety or sadness, truly is temporary. It could be over the course of a long time. It could be 3 back tattoo sessions, and it could be, I've experienced what I would say is 32 years of really intense living for myself, but there's always an end. And we do have a lot of control over how we perceive that and work with it as everything is happening. So it's just it's a beautiful way for me to visualize what I do and my experience and how I show up in the world and kind of who I am as a person too. Because I feel like when people see my tattoos, my arm and my back, it's a story. And I'm just really happy to be able to express mine and to be able to help people embody theirs too. So just like you were able to put this beautiful phoenix on my back so I can be the fullest representation of myself. I'm not needling people to do that. I'm making them, do breath work and sound. But yeah, it's the same thing, just different ways of processing. I think it's so beautiful.
It was such an honor to create this piece with you. Really, truly, thank you for trusting me through this process.
Oh my gosh, yeah, thank you. There's no one else that would rather have tattoo me, especially for these reasons. And yeah, it's really cool that we get to do this energy work together, and show people, you know, we have a lot of, we're able to do a lot more than I think we give ourselves credit for. And I think that a lot of the times it's because people are able to profit off of our productivity. And so we're taught from a young age to receive external validation as like the highest form of success. But at the end of the day, I've worked in hospice and I've also, lost a lot of loved ones. It wasn't about how much they had at the end of the day. It wasn't about what they created. It was about who they were as a person, the effect that they had on other people, what they taught. And I think, this is a really great way for us to show people, hey, yes, the end result is important, but it's also not the end all be all. It's the things in between. So it's the beyond of the Bed Bath and Beyond again, bringing that back there. But yeah, it's just filling in. It's kind of like that missing puzzle piece because I feel like a lot of the times we're just kind of in this weird limbo, especially around creation. We just kind of have this like weird energy or limbo that we can't like name. And I think that a lot of the times it's that somatic work that's super important to be able to just kind of clear the space. It's kind of like, I would say, like clearing out a storage unit to be able to put it with things that you currently need. So sometimes we'll be like, oh my gosh, I have to put this somewhere. I have no idea where to put it. So like our emotions. And we'll kind of open this, old thing and be like, well, I don't even remember all of these things in here. Like, and as you start clearing that out, things might come up for you. But the good news is you've cleared a space for you to be able to put things in and think more freely. So somatic work is taking away the cobwebs and the old memories or feelings that might still be trapped in our body, clears it out so we're able to just be present and in the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. That word, somatic work, was a word that didn't make any sense to me. And I kept hearing this like buzzword over and over and over again. And then,
Yeah.
like, hearing the way you break it down makes a lot of sense. So thanks.
Yes, and it's funny too because I remember when you asked me initially, like, what does this mean? I was like, I was like, you know what? I need to be able to put words to this because so much of the time I've been able to just kind of be like through a session, someone be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's what I really need, and I just kind of be like, okay, just experience it. But for people who might not know what it is, it does sound kind of interesting and odd. And truly, it just is your body's connection to your mind because our mind, it's all connected. And I think that there's a lot of room for us to learn about emotional regulation, for us to learn about energetic, responses to how we show up in the world. It's really profitable for people to, use people's energy for their own like gain. So that's unfortunately a lot of the times where I think a lot of we get stuck in the validation aspect of things, but really it's more so about your own self-validation and working with yourself to be able to be creative and just be free in that authenticity.
I was thinking about that 2018. Actually, so funny. Like, just a few minutes before we got on, I was talking to Luis about 2018. That's when I first started coaching artists. And I was telling him, like, gosh, I'm not the same person that was doing that work then. I was just figuring out, I was doing my first interview series at that time. And I was I was so in the beginning stages and it feels so long ago, but it was just 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, I look back on you and that's when you said we met, right? You remember that. And I look back at who I met then and who you are now. I literally cannot recognize you as the same woman.
What's funny is, do you remember when we had the back tattoo consult? You were like, "Hey, I'm Justine." I was like, "I know." I go,
Exactly what I'm
Justine.
talking about. And you
Because
also
it's
changed
so,
your last name.
it's true. No, you're very on top of it. That's not the point. It's more so the
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 feeling.
the people's energy and
Yeah.
feeling is so vastly different. And I think, yeah, let me emphasize, Justine is very detailed and put together. She would not forget.
No, but sometimes I do.
But
No, no, that's true.
it's just it. I think the point is it was such a drastic difference, though, right? A
Yes,
completely drastic difference.
drastic.
In people like night and day.
Mhm.
So yeah, and it you know what? If it makes you feel better, I don't remember people's faces at all, so it's okay. Uh,
Oh, yeah. You know what I realized too? Because I'm not so great at remembering every single person I've tattooed, and which is why I record my sessions, right? Now I do all of my consultations on Zoom and I record them, and that's like my filing system to remember everybody. But I realized I was going back through some pictures and realized that there's a huge chunk of time, like a couple of years, where every single client I tattooed was wearing a mask. So I
oh,
never saw 50% of their face.
oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. I tattooed
Yeah.
someone the other day and I know she's a repeat client. Like I know her name. I remember the tattoo. I remember the session. I remember the photos. I remember the day. She comes in for her second tattoo like 4 years later, 3 years later, and I'm like, I've never seen your face before. Who are you? Like, oh, the reason is because I looked back at the pictures. It's because everyone was wearing masks. So,
Yes, yes,
but
yeah,
you were not when I met you, and you look
yes.
extremely different. Your energy is completely different, and you are on a whole nother frequency in life right now,
Isn't it
despite
wild?
what happened.
Yes, and that is really what's really important for me to talk about my story is, yeah, you of all people understand. I think you met me probably at my most vulnerable and just like broken self. And it really, like, I had to be able to condition myself to say, like, I am worthy. Like, I am worthy to be able to create. I am worthy to embody myself as an artist. I am able to take care of myself. And so, again, kind of what you and I have talked about of it's the external validation feels really good. But unfortunately, if we are creating from a place of only seeking that external validation, nothing will ever, ever, ever be good enough. And that is going to be an exhausting cat and mouse game as an artist. And I think that's where we hear a lot of the tortured artist kind of stereotypes. But it really is about self-embodiment and harnessing the energies that you feel in your body to work with what's going on. Because when you met me, I was definitely someone who pushed all the energy away, especially being someone who feels, I think, like really, really extra deep. I was pretty agoraphobic. I was not
And that's
very.
when you don't want to leave the house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, it's when you are like legitimately paralyzed in fear to leave your house. Because with what I have experienced, I have PTSD. Luckily, a lot of the symptoms that I struggle with are managed through different things, especially somatic modalities, of course. That's my bread and butter. But let's see. Yeah. Oh no. Let's see. I blinked out here.
That's okay. You
It's okay.
you've
I'm just
transformed
trying.
so much. I mean,
Yes. Yes, what I'm saying is through that my own self-reflection and realizing, oh, like I need to be the one to take care of myself. I need to be the one to advocate for myself. I need to be the one to say I am an artist. I need to be the one to say I accept myself at these spaces. And it felt really uncomfortable a lot of the time. And it felt really imposter syndrome of showing up in spaces where, you know, I didn't feel like I belonged. But once I was able to work with myself and different ways of healing, slowly but surely, I saw the benefits of this. And I saw the benefits of taking care of myself. I saw the benefits of pushing through those emotions that would come up and I was terrified of. Going back to the agoraphobia, that what was happening is my PTSD was coming up for me and these feelings of intense emotion was coming up for me. What I didn't realize is that it was deep inside me. It wasn't the external world. And so I had to learn how to work with those overwhelming feelings of PTSD or emotions, etc., to be able to function out in the real world. So that is really what I'm super passionate about is helping people understand that yes, you're going to have these really intense feelings come up and you're going to have days where you don't feel like leaving your bed or you're terrified. But the wonderful news is that you can work with that and you can overcome a lot of these challenges. I think that feel like, doom forever, how it's going to be forever, but we're not doomed forever. And again, going back to what you have tattooed on my back, the symbolism of the phoenix, no matter what point in your life, you can always start again. I really, really want to emphasize that point. You can be anywhere in your life in the worst times. There's nothing that's not unsolvable. And that's very important for me to emphasize. There's always a solution. And I'm so honored to do what I do because I don't know if I would be here if I didn't have these somatic modalities like sound healing, like breath work and yoga. Truly, as someone who felt like I tried everything for everything that I've gone through, I really, really did everything. And so to get to teach people how to work with their energy or I definitely can't solve someone's PTSD. I really wish that I could, but I can help if they're open to it to be able to make it a little bit easier through these modalities. It really is up to the person to do that work, but I've seen it in myself and in my friends and family's lives where even sometimes just something as simple as a simple breath work exercise or a sound healing session really can help people. Sound healing, for people who don't know, it's like I would call it like a meditative live music concert. So I'm using different frequencies and instruments to do different things to our body. And one of my favorite things is having someone who comes to a sound bath who's been like dragged by their partner or maybe it's an employee, wellness thing. Because I've had that before where employers will hire me to do a sound bath for their employees. And I'll definitely get people that are like, oh, what's this going to be all about? Whatever. But they go into it with an open mind. And at the end, they'll come up to me and say, man, I haven't felt that relaxed in years, like truly. And I've gotten really beautiful messages, sent to me where it'll be days later and I'll be like, I've slept the best that I've slept in so long. And while I'm very flattered that people like to hear me sing, the beautiful part is I get to tell people you have access to these modalities a lot of places, and I get to teach people what works for them and how to do different experiences to do different things. So it's really beautiful, and I know that you and I both know sometimes listening to this, it might sound so ambiguous and just kind of cerebral or maybe kind of not super digestible. And it's really because it's something that you just have to experience, I feel like.
I have one like burning final question, I think, for you about
Yes.
this, about kind of to sum everything up. What was the biggest thing that got you through the last season after your husband passed?
Oh man, I would say creating. Um, I would absolutely say creating. Being able to create has definitely saved my life because even when I talk about what I do with my somatic work, I could not have done if I didn't create this path for myself. This is not a role that, someone hired me on Indeed. I really had to use my own creative process and my intuition and my own voice and power to create this kind of coaching role that I have and to be able to step into these places where I didn't think that I could go and have them hire me to do somatic work, which is crazy. Again, like I never thought that I could go there. But creation absolutely is what saves me to be able to make art or write poetry or sing during a sound bath. That's also creation. It's really, I believe, in my perspective, that creation is the reason. Well, it sounds silly. Creation is the reason that we're alive, but I mean that in an artistic perspective. Whether you're a spreadsheet monkey doing financial spreadsheets like my late husband was amazing at it, whether you're a very talented entrepreneur and tattooer, whether you are a self-made artist who teaches somatic modalities, we're here creating. And really that is I feel like everyone kind of says that there's this thought in Eastern philosophy that the only thing that we're all going to experience is suffering, and I love that, and I also like to say I think on top of that is we're also going to experience creation because you need that destruction in order to bring that renewal. So yeah, my hope is that people can understand you can have your whole life destroyed constantly because I can't tell you, unfortunately, since 2018, my life has been constantly destroyed and rebuilt. I've had to start over so many times, but you can survive it and you do survive it and you can come out even better than you were. I still can't believe I'm on a progression of still moving upwards, even though there are days where it feels like I'm not. And so it's just beautiful. I get to help people see this perspective of yes, there's a lot going on and your emotions are going to be there, but there's this beautiful journey that we're all on together. I think that we get distracted by a lot of things that come up, but at the end of the day, there's this beautiful magic that we're all connected to and a part of that I can just redirect back to ourselves, back to our center. And that's really what I get to do for people.
So beautiful. You're so beautiful.
Oh, you too.
Thank you for sharing your beauty, your gifts, your talents, your healing with us. Thank you for sharing it with our community too, of our artists, and for collaborating with me. Thank you for continuing, for choosing to continue to do life deeply. It moves me to tears like regularly when we talk about this. It's it's profound to witness your commitment to living.
Ooh, you're making me feel emotional. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's important
Thank
to
you.
me. It really is. And I really hope that I can inspire people to do the same. That truly would be my biggest life's work. But yeah, again, we are also needed here. And you're everyone who's listening, your life is so important and valuable. Please understand that. There's so much good and excitement. And I think that we just need to look in the right places. We just need to have a different perspective sometimes. And so, yes, lean on your community, lean on creating, and absolutely just know that there's always something, and if you don't know what to do and if you feel overwhelmed, I think something that's always helpful to me is just take the next best step, whatever that is. So, yeah, thank you for having me. And of course, I'm so excited to work with you some more and teach your wonderful, beautiful students. And Yeah, I'm
Thanks.
excited to see what happens.
Yeah, thank you. Just what's the best way for everyone to go find you and connect with you?
Yes, so on Instagram, I'm Jennifer Eve Guides. I also have a website, which is jennifereveguides.com, so you can reach out to me there. But yeah, through Instagram, connecting with me through my website, sending me a message there. I'm easily accessible there. So
Beautiful, amazing, and I love you. Thank
I
you,
love you too.
Jennifer.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having
thank
me,
you, thank
Justine.
you.
Thank you so much for listening and being a part of Her Ink Empire. Remember, this is only the beginning. Your empire is already unfolding. Until next time, stay bold, stay aligned, and stay true to you as you build your artistic legacy.